I think more so than anything is just the community that we've created. I think it's like, the stories of someone coming in, whether they have no fitness experience whatsoever, and they complete a class. And a lot of times they can be brought to tears just because of how emotional it is to know that you just did something that you never thought you could do.
Welcome back to the Missoula podcast. Happy Tuesday. Good to be in studio. Brandon Smith.
Stephen Russett.
And Aly Suazo.
Suazo.
Yeah.
Not Suazo. Not Suazo.
Who's butchered?
Suazo.
What is the biggest butchering of your last name that you've ever heard?
I think I haven't had anything bad. Like just Suazo is probably usually.
Okay.
Yeah. Or people say Suave all the time because my husband's name's Rico. So they always say.
Rico Suave. Oh.
I know. So.
Okay, that's first question. What's it like being married to Rico Suave?
I know, right? Yeah, I know. Missoula's legend. It's great. Because you've met him before, obviously through basketball. But yeah, I know, just maybe not the last name, but he's a cop here in town. So.
Hopefully you met him through basketball and not through his occupation.
Correct.
Two very different situations.
Yeah, basketball no. I actually met him because he pulled me over once. But that's not how we actually met. But
tell us that story.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I was 20. I was young. Yeah. And he pulled me over after dropping some of my friends off downtown after a hockey game. Nikki Hibbert actually happened to be one of them. And met him through that. Got let go. And
sparks flew right away.
No, 2 years later. Then we met through basketball. So yeah, a couple of years later. But
well, Aly, take us back. Where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from the Bitterroot, some small town girl, Florence, Montana.
Go Falcons.
Yeah. And then went to college for a little bit in California and then came back here and finished up my degree at Montana. So Northern California area.
What was like growing up in Florence? What did your parents do? What was Aly like back then?
Sports were like my world. So I think like growing up in small towns is kind of like one thing or another, but sports are generally like all you do in life. But grew up on a little farm and rode a lot of horses and did all that kind of like country girl stuff, but played softball and basketball mainly. Softball was like my big focus throughout my younger years and then college years.
Where'd you go to college when you went to Northern California? What school?
Sacramento.
Okay.
Yeah. So at Sac State, we didn't have a softball program here at Missoula yet.
Okay.
So yeah, went down there. And it was great. I mean, it was a big change coming from a small town to big city and learned a lot, there's a lot of learning, a lot of dumb things that I'm sure I did. But yeah, wouldn't change it for the world. So, but yeah, my mom pretty much stayed at home with us till we were all in kindergarten. And we owned a logging company growing up. So it was called Henderson Logging, and just really learned the value of hard work through my dad through that. And yeah.
What was it like playing college softball?
Yeah.
What position did you play? And like, what was that experience?
It was great. I did that for 2 years. So I was a catcher in high school, and then I played shortstop when I went to college. So completely different. I just don't think we had like a catcher probably in Florence, so they just made me be one.
You were the only one that could stay in front of the ball.
Yeah, and then I played shortstop in college, and it was great. A lot of learning lessons, just trying to like go from someone telling you exactly what to do or where to be to having to manage your own schoolwork and living with new people and being in a big city when I'm from a small town. So. It was. Was
that a big jump? The transition from high school softball to college softball?
Yeah. And then not having like my parents making sure I was keeping on track. So yeah. So I mean, sure, I partied a little too much when I went to college, but also just like learned a lot. And then just California is a whole different realm, especially back then than what a small town girl is from. So
what did you like most about it?
I think like just meeting like people of different walks of life. There was, a lot more like culture and diversity than where I was from. So that was a pretty big like game changer and everything like that. But yeah, I met some really quality people and then still friends with them to this day. So took that with me.
What brought you back to Missoula?
My high school boyfriend, but yeah, not a cool story or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I missed home a little bit, and I just felt like I was having probably too much fun. And so probably needed to like come back and just kind of, I wasn't going to play pro softball and make that a career. So came back and finished school here. But yeah.
What did you study? Maybe you said this. What did you study when you came back here?
Yeah. So I have 2 bachelors, one in sociology and one in psychology. So I originally wanted to go to school to be like a sports psychologist. I wanted to work with high school athletes, just like with the pressures of, I felt like I experienced a lot of pressure to be a certain way or to be the best and all that, and didn't really have anybody to talk to through that. So that was always like my first goal, is to work in the school systems, working predominantly with athletes. And then that changed to just becoming a social worker. And then I was graduated and became a social worker, started working with, actually, I think he's still around, right around here, but Dr. Valine as a psychometrist. So I was doing like neuropsych testing and all that kind of stuff. And then worked in the hospital and then worked for the state as a social worker. So did a lot of social work for about 10 years.
What was the most challenging part about that?
Just trying to leave it at work and not taking it home. So forever like grateful for my time like as a social worker, but trying to balance work and home and not let it like affect your personal life or anything like that was pretty impossible. But through that time, I always taught classes. I taught at the Peak for a couple times a week. And that was kind of like my outlet, is like teaching fitness, or I coached actually softball at Sentinel as well. And that was definitely like my self-care to get through like all that. And then after working for the state for about 5 or 6 years, I was like, I'm going to take my skills of social work and open a business. And
Aly, what was it about sociology and psychology that made you want to just get back or get to a place of just investing in other people, like their well-being, their life? Like what was it inside of you that made it about others?
Yeah, I think like from day one, whether it was just growing up with siblings or like being on a team sport, is just like being there for people and helping people. I think that's been like my sole purpose and drive around everything that I've done, is just like the value of human connection and how important that is. I think a lot of people aren't seen or cannot be seen. And then sometimes it just takes one person to actually be there and to see them. That can change lives or can change a moment in someone's life. So I knew I always wanted to, whether it was going to be down like the therapist route or becoming like a social worker working with families or kids, I knew that that's kind of like what I had been destined to do. And then I kind of, after doing it for so long, was like, I'm going to bring everything I've learned and taken and put it into a sense of fitness. And it's like a different kind of social work, but the power of fitness really changes lives as well. So, yeah.
Who was the person that saw you when you were like a kid? I'm assuming that there was a moment where maybe you were going through a hard time and somebody was there for you, and that's what you wanted to give to others. I
think it's twofold. So I would say, so my dad is somebody I look up to. I mean, definitely like my biggest role model in life, just as far as work ethic goes, not giving up, finishing and seeing things through at that same time. And this is something we've had discussions about, like, as we've gotten older, is just, there was a lot of pressure to be, at a certain caliber or be the best at what you do. And there was at times it felt like when I'm 15 or 16 years old, like, you can't fail. There is no failing. Mm-hmm. And that was hard to manage. Like, I have my biggest supporter. He believed in me. He saw like the power of everything that I like had in front of me. But at that same time, also felt like a lot of stress and anxiousness and everything like that to live up to those standards. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I kind of think my mindset shifted of like, I want to push people to get through difficult times in their life or hard times or become better as a person or as a human, but also understand that it's not like, if it doesn't happen or if it doesn't work out in the end, or if you fail at something, that it's not the end of the world. Yeah. So,
and you did a little coaching as well. Mm-hmm. What are you seeing with young athletes in this day and age, like the pressure, and how is that manifesting?
I think it's a little different. I mean, coaching in this day and age is totally different than when I was in high school, right? There's just, I mean, it was very old school when I was, you could say what you want and, or the coaches could say what they want. And it was a lot more hardcore.
They could grab you by the jersey.
Oh, yeah. You could do anything. But
a better time.
Yes.
No, I shouldn't say that.
You're going to get canceled.
Yeah,
I know,
right?
Yeah. You won't be getting any coaching jobs. Yeah. But yeah, so I think now it is just that it's finding a balance. It's like, you got to push kids. There's kids that I just feel like the work ethic is not there.
Sure.
So finding that balance to push them but making them understand like the why behind it. Like, why are we putting in the work to do this? Why is it important? And those little things, whether it's a sport, it takes you into your adulthood in your life. And then you can kind of carry that over into career or how you work with other people and everything like that.
I mean, so many life lessons come from sports, but
Yeah.
also lessons from sports that teach us a lot about business.
Mhm.
And I'm sure running your own business now,
Yeah.
a lot of your experiences have come from, or a lot of who you are today has come from experiences you had back playing sports, growing up, going to college and coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should go to our rapid fire questions and then come back to business and what you're doing now.
Yeah.
If that works for you guys.
Oh, I
So
love that.
Aly, my first question for you is, what is your first initial memory of Missoula, Montana?
Yeah. I was thinking about this. There's like two that come to mind. So I grew up obviously in the Bitterroot, so we weren't here all the time. We did come to like church. It's like my first memory. And then there was a little burger shop called 93 Stop and Go. You guys, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that's like, I just remember that, like the burger and then the fry sauce.
The duper sauce.
Yes. Yeah. So that is one of mine. And then a little later on in life, probably like when I was like 14, 15, is just being able to come into town and then cruising what we called the drag, which was downtown, obviously Higgins. And
In the
just
big city.
Yes, in the big city.
4
how cool
blocks
that
back
was.
and forth.
Yeah. And it's like laughable now, like how cool we thought that was. But yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Those are my two main memories in Missoula.
What's your favorite coffee spot?
That one is hard because I'm like a coffee connoisseur and probably drink way too much of it. But if I'm just going through a drive-through, it's probably going to be Loose Caboose or Lighthouse if the line is not long. And then if I'm going to sit down somewhere, it's going to be Clyde.
Favorite restaurant?
So maybe I get this from my husband, but we're big Mexican fans. So the Garden City Taqueria is like my favorite little food truck. Love the birria and the carne asada. But as a fancier restaurant, I say we probably go to the Camino and Finn and Porter the most in town.
What zip code do you live in?
59808. Yeah.
What do you love the most about Missoula?
I think people. So I travel a lot. I go to California a lot. My sister's down in Orange County, and I love it there. And sometimes I feel like we should switch spots. But at the same time, every time I go down there and I come back, I'm like, it reminds me just how great Montana and Missoula in particular is, or just how like people see, like you're seeing a lot more. People are a little bit more like kind. Everybody talks to everybody, and that's literally
pretty special
something that we
place,
take
for sure.
for granted a lot.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
Yeah.
What to use the weirdest part of Missoula?
Gosh. I mean, I feel like everybody might, or somebody would say this all the time, is that you can literally go through all 4 seasons in one day.
I think we had that yesterday.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You could go from 70 to snow to rain to, yeah. So, yeah.
Has there been a particular book that's made the biggest impact on your life?
I think in personal life, I would say Brene Brown, like Daring Greatly, and I still think it's a book that I read or look back to all the time, and still am not very good at it, being like vulnerable, and that is pretty difficult for me. But great book, goals for sure in that book. And then in regards to business, because of the typical or the business that I am in fitness, I read $100 Million Leads and Offers by
Hormozi.
Hormozi. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
I listen to a lot more like books and podcasts. I just listened to Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. That was a good one as well.
I've been hearing a lot about that book.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great concept sometimes, but then I'm just like, I can't always let them, but it is a good concept.
Okay, let's go back to 10 years in doing social work, working with the state. When did it come into your mind that you wanted to start this business, and then walk us through the steps and the courage you had to take to go do that.
So, I mean, I don't come from like, I mean, we owned a logging company, but we don't come from like a family of like entrepreneurs or anything like that. It was just like hard work. And after about 5 or 6 years in the most recent social work position at the state, I was just like, I am so burnt out, but I also love the idea of helping people and bettering people, bettering myself. And so trying to combine the two, and then fitness is just something that has got me through everything in life. And so kind of combining the two, I went to a class in California when I was visiting my sister, and it was a cycling class in like a dark room, loud music, lots of vibes going on. And I hate, so like before that, you would not catch me on a bike. I was like, this is a joke of a workout kind of thing.
Sure.
But like felt so invigorated afterwards. And I was like, we need a place like this in Missoula. A place, I mean, not only for like the actual workout, but just like they do a lot of events, a lot of community, you meet so many people. It's very much when you walk in, it's more about actually like seeing somebody asking the questions like, oh, how you're here, where are you from, what brought you here, instead of just checking someone in and just be like, here's your class, get to it.
It's just very social, relationship building.
Yeah, like creating a sense of community was definitely the number one thing. And so after taking that class, I obviously had already been teaching classes and fitness classes and doing small groups, and went to the business school because I was already graduated, or had been graduated for a long time. And I was like, how do I start a business? I have like no idea. And they actually have like a cool little program there for entrepreneurs, or probably for student entrepreneurs. And she was just like, what's your idea? Started to like roughly do a business plan. Had a business partner at the time of opening HypeHouse, and they just gave you like an outline step of like step 1, this is how you create your name. This is what your business like plan should look like. And I had nothing to my name. I don't come from much, just middle-class family from the root. And I did not realize how hard it would be to get like financing, or somebody to like, I had this like miraculous business plan with all my analytics and how much I was going to make and everything like that. And you'd go to a bank and they'd be like, and what do you have to offer me? Like, what? I didn't have a house. I didn't have a car. Like I didn't own anything. So it's like, I didn't have any collateral. And I was like, how do people start businesses? I was like, don't they just see this idea and like, this is great, we're going to give you the money, But MoFi here in town, I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, little for-profit business, kind of, it's a bank in a sense, but they really like believe more in the product and what you're creating. And they finance a lot of businesses that
more of like an investor.
Yeah. And they also give you a lot of tools and props and everything to help you get up and running. So kind of chatted with them for like a couple months, and yeah, they were just like, I think this is going to be great. And so that's the only way that I would have been able to get started. Great? Yeah, it's been ups and downs for sure. So I opened May. So we just had 6 years to celebrate. So
congratulations.
Thank you. So May of 2019, COVID hit.
Tough
March.
time to start a business.
Yeah. 10 months later, COVID hit, and fitness, it's not like you can continue to do that. So it was shut down later, like 10 months later after opening, and then had to reinvent the wheel. And so we're like, okay, we're just going to record our classes online, like go in here and record. And then we delivered our bikes, because we were only a cycling studio at the time. Delivered our bikes to people's homes, and they rented them out during COVID. Wow. And then we went and filmed in our little studio, and that was like just to get us by, like to basically pay our rent. And that was a rough 3 months. And I think what also the effects of COVID was everything was just done at home, right? So then fitness, this whole idea of like coming together, working hard, community, that kind of went out the window. And people were like, oh, I just get a Peloton, I'll just do it at home, So I was like, are we going to recover? And then slowly just like kept pushing through. And again, kind of built back up the clientele. People started coming back out into the community a little bit more. And then, just kind of recovered from that and kept pushing. And I had a business partner, like I said, at the time, and then she moved, and then I've been sole owner of HypeHouse for the last almost 4 years. But yeah.
I love the name HypeHouse.
Yeah.
How'd you land on that? What was the process in
I
naming
wanted,
the business?
I mean, I'd like an all-encompassing, because we're going to start, we were going to start with cycling. And then my end goals were like, I want it all inclusive, like strength training, cycling, wellness, all of it eventually. Kind of took a little longer because of the pandemic to get to there. But so all umbrella, like under one roof, a house is kind of what I wanted, but I wanted something with the house, but I didn't want it to be just particular to like cycling. Because what if I added on strength training, or what if I added on like a different modality? And so then I was just like, I wanted like in a place where people can get hyped, like, and so I put it together, and that's how it stuck. And yeah, so we moved to a new location in 2023, and it's 3 times as big as location as what I had downtown. And then I added strength training, and then in last year I just built out what we call the training club, and that's like a small, more like premier strength training studio. So now we have our cycling, our strength training studio where we do classes, and then small group training. And now we have like a wellness area too now. So we have our infrared saunas and cold plunges.
Where is the studio?
Everything.
Where's HypeHouse located here in
So
town?
it's like 812 Tool Avenue. It's kitty corner to DraftWorks. So right in that, there's like a big condo building. And then like Hunter Bay Coffee is down there. So yeah.
Outside of how do you get financing for a new business, what has been the most surprising thing about this whole adventure to you?
I think people think when you own a business, like you're just like living life, right? And I think going into it, I knew I was going to work hard. I didn't realize how hard I was going to work, and continue to work. And so it's like, sometimes I always tell people like I miss a 9 to 5, because even if I'm gone on vacation, you're still working, or, there's just no time off. Or if someone can't be there for a certain class or can't be there for a certain shift, like you have to be there. So that's probably the most surprising, knowing it was going to be hard, not sure that I knew how much time and energy I would put into it. And that, you just got to keep like reinventing kind of the wheel, especially in the fitness atmosphere. Like, there's just so many trends and fads and everything like that it's not as easy just to like create something and just stay with it. You got to keep kind of
You said you just celebrated 6 years. If you went back to 2019, would you do it all over again?
100%. Yeah. I think more so than anything is just the community that we've created. I think it's like, the stories of someone coming in, whether they have no fitness experience whatsoever, and they complete a class, and a lot of times they can be brought to tears just because of how emotional it is to know that you just did something that you never thought you could do. I also think people go through a lot of hard times in their life and maybe don't have access to like therapy or have the best like support system around them. So I think we really try to create something that's more than just a good workout. Like people, I always tell my front desk staff, like, you're going to learn their names. You're going to learn like what it is about them, what they do. Are they in college? What do they do for work? Do they just buy a house? And we try to like celebrate those wins. And I think that's what sets us apart from a lot of places, is having that little sense of just diving into people being seen. Yeah.
Aly, I'm not going to lie to you. I went to a class when it was at the downtown location, and I do marathons.
Yeah.
We met playing basketball. Right. That was the hardest workout that I've ever done. I've never sweated that much. You're right. It was a vibe, the music, the lights, I don't know. I don't think you were leading that class, but the instructor yelling at you and getting you pumped.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah.
So is that kind of a fun experience for you to see people that are trying it for the first time to be like, what was this?
Yes.
What was that? And I know that's just one part of what you're doing now.
Yeah. I think like for our coaches, I always say like, they're equally like motivators too. And it's almost like you are like putting on this like show or performance, just of how our classes work. Cause it is like this dark room, kind of like ambiance of lighting, and then like loud music. But yeah, I think that's kind of the overall feel and vibe that I want people to feel like, kind of come out like, oh my God, like what just happened? But then
that's exactly what I felt.
Yeah. But then also like a sense of like that it is hard. I think Cycling in particular is a lot harder than what people think it is. And same with the strength training of what we've created is kind of that same vibe, but in a strength sense. And I think music is super important. I think it can be powerful in so many ways. It can really get, it's like if you're running a marathon, like you're probably not just like listening to nothing. You need something that's going to motivate you through to get through how many hours that is. So, yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So what is, what's the plan going forward? Like, what are some of the milestones that you've set? Not even for your business, but maybe just for you personally.
Gosh, I think for me is sometimes trying to find peace in what I have created so far. I think my mind is always running as far as like, what can I do next? What can I create next? How can I expand? And that is something that I eventually want to do, whether that's opening up another studio similar in a different city or going the route of kind of keeping my home base here, but working with other similar businesses and more on like a consulting level. Because I feel like now I've seen the worst and the best of everything, and what really works for a studio and what really doesn't work for a studio or fitness or a gym.
Do you have a coach, mentor, somebody who taught you how to lead a Peloton class, a Peloton spin class? And my next question is, do you have a favorite Peloton instructor?
No, I see. And we're so different than Peloton. Okay. Like we really are. It's a good foundation, but we do a lot more movement. And it is so, but Peloton, every instructor is top tier. They get paid the big bucks for a reason. So, like Aly Love was always a good one. Gosh, I can't think of her name. She's like the boxing coach, Kendall Toole. I really liked her as well. But yeah, no, I think I feel like I figure out a lot of stuff on my own through trial and error. There was not, and I take things from other businesses, but I want to ultimately create my own space. Mm-hmm. I don't want to create a replica of somebody else's space or anything like that. So I think that's something to always remind yourself is like, you take things from other places. I'll go to gyms all the time when I travel and be like, oh, I like how they did this. I was like, I should do this, but ultimately I'm creating what I feel.
Do you have a coach or a mentor in terms of running business? Business side of HypeHouse? No,
just podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of podcasts. Yeah. Can I get to that level? No, they're great. They're both like him and his wife are phenomenal as far as just like what it's like to sell. And I think I learn a lot more on the business side of things where I maybe lack in as a business owner is, I always say, I'll never be rich because I'll give it all away or whatever. But I really want that fine balance of, yes, this is my job. This is my career. This is what I want to do to pay my bills and to create a life for myself and my family. But I never want to lose sight of like that human aspect of it and what it's so much more to me than just paying my bills. And so I think that sometimes you do find that there's businesses all around that is just about like what I can do, how I can make money, what's the revenue, instead of taking a second to like see how people are feeling. And then that's same with my staff. I feel very grateful. 6 years I've had the same coaches with me from the beginning. And then any coach that I've hired on has stayed with me this whole time, unless they moved out of the state. And I think that speaks to who I want to be as a person. I think as a boss or be in charge of anybody, you equally work for them as much as they work for you. And that's something that I will preach to myself to the day, that I die is like, you got to work for your people too. And so.
Love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to backtrack to contentment because I think this is something that I struggle with. Mm-hmm. Maybe other entrepreneurs or business leaders struggle with. What is your best strategy for wanting to push forward, wanting to grow, wanting to expand, and yet being thankful for what you have?
I think it's a lot of self-talk, right? Waking up and knowing, I think you have to love what you do. I think you can do, everybody has jobs that they don't love, right? But in an entrepreneur sense, for me personally, if you love what you do and you're so passionate about what you do, all that hard work, all those sleepless nights, not knowing if you're going to survive, not knowing like if it's going to work out is going to be all worth it because like the passion is there. And I think I remind myself, like, ultimately, I don't know, like, if I want to be in this capacity in 5 or 10 years, but I still want to know that I'm creating environments or creating a space or helping other businesses create spaces that change people's lives through fitness. So I think loving what you do and reminding yourself that, you know, you're doing this because that's your end goal is big.
Maybe a difficult question to answer, but looking back at your sports career and college and softball and business, what is a life lesson you've learned that has a parallel in sports and entrepreneurship?
You got to surround yourself with good people. Yeah. You got to create a team. And that's to say there's plenty of sports out there that are individual sports, but you still have a team around you. You have a trainer, you have the people, you know, supporting you, people you turn to when things are hard. So creating a good team and surrounding yourself with the people that are going to have that same vision is incredibly important.
You said earlier that as a leader, business owner, you're working for your staff just as much as they're working for them. What other tools have you used to become a better leader of your team? Like what strategies, or maybe what mistakes did you make? And then how did you correct it? Because that's so rare.
Yeah.
You know, just that statement that you said.
Yeah. I think that's where you lose. I mean, they're your employees, right? And so there is that kind of like, yeah, I am their boss. I am going to tell them, kind of delegate and tell them what to do. But at the same time, they've lived a whole life before you've even met them at that moment. And they're going to have good days and bad days. And I think being able to put on multiple hats of like, yeah, here's my business hat, but also here's my human side of the hat, you know, or human side of me that you got to show up for them as well. Make them, I think a lot of making them feel valued and knowing their worth. I think a lot of times that's something that I struggle with and that's something that I work better at, or work to be better at every single day is actually verbalizing those great things that I see. I think about it all the time. I was just telling somebody the other day of like, I have hundreds of people that come through our doors every day. And I see people that have been with us for a couple months and years and I'm just like, you know, dang, like their transformation is crazy. And I'm thinking about it in my head, but then sometimes I stop myself to say it. And I don't know why necessarily. It's probably like a little piece of vulnerability there. But then just as I do with people that come through our doors and my staff, it's like, you got to say those things. You got to make sure they feel valued. No, you know, still got to let them know when they screwed up or are doing something wrong. But I think that is something I continue to get better at, is actually making.
Aly, maybe help our audience. You know, there's a lot of hype around HypeHouse and gyms and your guys' social media content, and can almost be intimidating to somebody who has never stepped foot into, you know, your studio or another fitness center that's not your typical gym. Yeah. What can somebody expect when they come to HypeHouse for the first time?
I mean, you can't win them all, for one. It might not be always someone's cup of tea, but I do know that I can guarantee as soon as somebody walks in, how I've trained my staff, coaches, front desk, everything is to make them feel like, I mean, it is scary walking into somewhere. And if you haven't never done that before, it is, but making sure that they feel like they have someone walking them through it and that they're not just like, oh, this is your name. Okay. Take a walk back there. Right. Somebody will maybe talk to you. You know, that's never what I want anybody to ever feel like. So how I've developed my business model or how I've trained is just so the second that they walk in, they are walked through from front desk to coach to checked in after, like, you know, we check in with them after class, constantly working with them through classes and everything like that. And I think 99% of the time after class is done and I talk to somebody that's new, they're just like, it's usually like, damn, that was hard. Two, like, you know, it wasn't as like intimidating as they thought it was going to be. And I think that's fitness in general, but
it's most of life in general.
Yeah. Like just doing something out of your comfort zone. Obviously, when you come with a friend, it's a little easier, but that's why I do the things I do, is for those little moments of like, dang, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I felt seen, or we text people all the time after they have taken a class. little things like I picked up from other studios too is like, hey, how was your first class? How are you feeling? And getting those responses back, like that was so amazing. Like, I'm so glad I did that.
What is the model? Is it do people pay per class? Is it subscription model, monthly membership?
Yeah. So first class, if you're just a Missoula resident, is always free. I'm like, I want somebody to try this out and make sure that this is for them before I even want their money or anything like that. A lot of people have unlimited memberships. They just come because we're like a full operating studio. So you have cycling classes, strength training, and then after building out that training club, you can work out. It's actually 24 hours. It's a nice, like, kind of more smaller base functional gym. So kind of get the best of both worlds there. And then some people just buy drop-in classes, like 5 class packs, 10 class packs. Yeah.
Is there two things? What would it look like, or what would it take to get the Missoula podcast down for a class? I really want to see Brandon.
Strength training or cycling?
Cycling.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. I'll save you spots. I can't wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was question number one. The other class is just, or other question is just, entrepreneurs getting started. What piece of advice would you tell that person that's been working a 9 to 5 that wants to make the leap, but is too afraid?
Yeah. I mean, I say it in classes. I mean, it is cliche is all out there, but you never know until you try. Like, you won't. And if you sit there and think about it and ponder it, but you never act on it, 10 years, 5 years from now, you're going to be like, I wish I would have. Yeah. Instead, maybe you take that leap of faith and it doesn't work out, but then that's a learning. I mean, you got to shift your perspective of that's a learning lesson, like, okay, I did it. I'm proud of myself for doing it. Maybe it didn't work out like how I wanted it to, but at least I know I did it. I think if you can say, at least I know I did it rather than I wish I would have, that's game changing.
I love hearing you say proud of yourself. I mean, we're proud of you. You brought something to Missoula that wasn't here. You're making an impact, making a difference in the life of others, making an income, taking care of your family at the same time, and building something that can ultimately affect future generations. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Really proud of you. My last question for you, Aly, is looking back at the last 6 years, any regrets? Anything you wish you would have done different? Where'd you go wrong?
I try to frame regrets as learning lessons. So there's plenty of things, situations that I wish I, maybe not invested in this particular thing at this, at that moment, or I wish I would have handled a situation different, or, wish I would have spoke to somebody differently or spent more time, doing this. But at that same time, I think I wish it would have went differently, or I wish I would have not done that. But at the same time, how do I learn from that and be better from that? And I say, like a saying of like being 1% better every day, or just trying to be a little better every day as a friend, as a mom, as a coach, as a business owner. That's what I would preach to myself and preach to anybody that comes through those doors. So
it's a good place to end it.
Yeah.
Thanks for all you do, Aly.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, guys.
Yep.